108, and we're continuing eastbound now, swerving around traffic, going.
LAPD pursues suspects in stolen vehicle through South Los Angeles. 3 juveniles in a stolen vehicle led police on a high-speed chase through the streets of South Los Angeles. Suspects in a reported stolen vehicle led police on a high-speed chase through South Los Angeles on Thursday, February 16, 2024. 3 juveniles in a reported stolen vehicle led police on a high-speed, reckless chase through the streets of South Los Angeles on Thursday before being arrested in Southgate. At one point during the chase, one of the passengers held a phone out the window, possibly to record or stream. Some of the passengers appeared to be laughing as they fled. The vehicle was traveling at speed, running red lights and swerving in and out of oncoming traffic lanes. There were multiple signs of damage to the Hyundai's front and rear bumpers, indicating it may have been involved in one or more collisions in the early stages of the chase. LAPD units appeared to be backing up a distance from the vehicle, possibly for safety reasons. The vehicle continued to make turns, sticking to the same neighborhoods in southeast Los Angeles.
The neighborhood, lock your doors and windows. We are hearing that LAPD is treating this as a possibly armed suspect, so that kind of raises the level of danger. And just like this, you see this driver going the wrong way down Central Avenue in Watts, and now back on the right side of the road, continuing southbound. It looks like the driver's side window is now rolled up. I don't remember if this side of the window was rolled down earlier, or if it was just those windows on the right side. But we're continuing this erratic driving. One coming up on, let's see, it looks like we're still on Central Avenue, and he's in that left turn lane. This might be a red light, running a red light, doing a right turn, now continuing on 114th Street. A lot of traffic building in the area. It's approaching rush hour now, but we're still kind of doing these circles in the area. And you can see there those right side windows, both the right side passenger and the rear passenger, they have their windows down, so they're just kind of enjoying this joyride, it seems, as we continue doing almost circles around the Watts and South LA area.
Yeah, these are
We're going to try and move Air 7 HD a little closer to this vehicle as it maneuvers through LAX airspace, but we will continue to keep an eye on this.
Wow, the worst type of pursuits that we don't want to see on surface streets, driving erratically like that, and especially this time of day when kids might be out in the street, and it's just so very dangerous to see this.
We've already seen it. There's so many people on the streets, and at least
down here.
Okay.
There's, you know, some trash bins in the roadway there. He hit one of the trash bins. Luckily, he didn't hit that other vehicle. And you can see there now some LAPD vehicles are possibly returning, at least making their presence known. I haven't heard if they're actively switching back into an active pursuit mode. They are keeping a bit of distance right now, hopefully to at least slow down some of the erratic driving that we've seen from this driver. But that even going into a following or a tracking mode, as LAPD calls it, doesn't seem to be altering the behavior of this driver any as we continue, looks like going southbound on Avalon as we continue this pursuit.
Gabe, from your information, the damage on this car could possibly have happened as a result of this pursuit, or at least the beginning of this pursuit?
We did hear that the vehicle was possibly in an accident earlier in this pursuit, but we don't believe that was from a pit or anything of that nature. We heard LAPD ask permission to pit earlier in this pursuit. They also asked permission for spike strips, both of which were denied earlier. And you can see there are a number of LAPD units. It looks like 5 LAPD units are continuing to keep a close distance, or at least keep a good distance on this vehicle to keep an eye on where he is, but not stay too close behind him to put any extra pressure on this vehicle. We are learning some additional information now that this is a reported stolen vehicle, so that makes it a little difficult for LAPD to figure out exactly who might be driving this vehicle, and that might be why LAPD is keeping a close eye on this and making sure they don't lose eyes on him without putting too much pressure on the driver. Now as we go eastbound on 105th Street.
Looks like they're flashing signs out the window. That's what that looked like. The guy in the back seat was flashing some sort of a sign when they took that turn.
You're right, David.
So we know, this is what we know. At least 3 people are in the car. It's being called a stolen vehicle pursuit, but there's also concern that they believe that at least one of these guys could be armed. So it's a dangerous situation, not just because of their driving, but what's going to happen when we come to an end to this pursuit, which it will end eventually. And as they continue to squeeze through all these narrow places in the neighborhood. There you
coming
go.
up to a, looks like an ice cream truck or a food truck there, possibly making contact with that car, continuing westbound on 106.
It sure looked like that. And we just see him plow right through all of those stop signs back and forth. Perhaps they'll be able to put a spike strip out if they continue circling in that area.
Well, Gabe said that they've been denied at first. I'm not sure, you know, what the contemplation is when it comes to spike strips and pit maneuvers, although they are circling a lot. Maybe eventually they do decide to do a spike strip on this guy because it is so dangerous, and they got to slow this guy down, especially when he goes on the wrong side of the road.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's
there you go. See, flashing. He's flashing the signs.
So they need to enjoy this last joyride before they.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it looks almost as if the passenger in the front seat is laughing. He was on the phone earlier. They're definitely enjoying their 15 minutes of fame as they drive completely dangerously. Looks like making a right turn eastbound on Century. As you said, David, there's one of the passengers looking up at us in the helicopter. They have to be aware of us down here. We did hear the LAPD helicopter actually ask units on the ground to back off a little bit to hopefully relieve some of the pressure on this driver. And as far as spike strips are concerned, the driver is circling the same general area, but not staying on the same exact road. So it's still kind of hard to predict exactly where this driver will go and where he'll turn, making a left turn now on Clovis. We've been on Clovis before, so he's definitely hitting the same streets, probably staying in an area that he's familiar with.
Yeah, but not a specific pattern, so it's hard to predict.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Continuing northbound now on Clovis.
All right, at least this street is a little bit more wide open.
Yeah,
what was that, David?
At least this street is a little bit more wide open. It's not a tough squeeze, and there's some space for them to move.
Exactly.
You know, you don't know what the end goal is here and what way that they eventually decide to do, but not sure if law enforcement will let these guys go, considering what they know now.
Yeah, one of the little bit more open streets in the area as we make kind of an aggressive left turn there, going the wrong way, possibly making contact with an SUV there. Now on the right side of the road, looks like going westbound on 92nd Street. Some of the roads in this area do provide for a little bit of safer traversing, although at these speeds with this erratic behavior, you can see they're using the center median to drive around traffic. Any of this driving is unsafe at this speed and at this magnitude. Looks like we're making a northbound turn on McKinley, left turn on 91st Street, staying in these residential areas. Like you noticed, some of these residential streets are a little more open and a little more easier to for this suspect to kind of fly through. You can see there some pedestrians there are in these roads, and as we said, it's close to rush hour. School let out an hour or so ago, a couple hours ago, so you see possibly young people in the street as we go, looks like an eastbound turn on Avalon now, still driving at a high rate of speed and still swerving around other vehicles as these looks like three suspects in a Hyundai continue their joyride through South LA, continuing on 89th Street now westbound. And LAPD still considering this a tracking mode situation right now. They have their LAPD helicopter overhead, but they're keeping the units on the ground, keeping them at a distance while still following. So they have a lot of units in the area. Once they kind of see the pattern of a suspect staying in the same general area, they'll start to position units in various parts of the area. So if the suspect were to foot bail, if they were to get out and run, it's not just the pursuing units in the that are actually following that will have to deal with that. They have other units that can kind of merge in and start to help out with a apprehension of these suspects. Looks like that vehicle almost got some air there as we continue at a high rate of speed on 88th Street westbound. Coming up on another intersection here. It looks like it's a red light. There's some oncoming traffic there. That suspect very smartly slows down, looking, and makes a right turn there, northbound on Main Street, and we've been on this street before. We're going to see what this suspect does. Hopefully there's not too much traffic on this street that this suspect has to deal with. and we're going to move Air 7 around to see if we can find out where the suspect turns after that.
Yeah, keep in mind at home, if you have friends or loved ones that live in this general area, to tell everybody lock their doors, because we don't know, some of these times they come out of the car and try to carjack somebody else's car or run into some neighborhood. But just, again, driving this so erratically and dangerously, this is a scary, one of those pursuits that make your palms sweat when you watch it.
Yeah, we've seen this before where it's so erratic and so dangerous, you think for sure it's going to get in an accident, but a lot of times it will end surprisingly, but you definitely do not want something tragic to happen at the end of this pursuit. They clearly are not taking their behavior seriously, and you just hope we get lucky here and somehow this comes to an end without anybody getting hurt.
Especially with these narrow streets.
I'm just aghast right now at how relaxed the driver and the suspect looks. You could see the driver with just one hand on the steering wheel earlier, just going for, you know, afternoon joyride like any other. As we approach some other oncoming traffic there, some cross traffic coming the other way, going westbound on San Pedro Street now. And you can see there's the driver, there's the passenger kind of making some gestures there, making a sharp right turn now on 89th Street. And from the damage to this vehicle, you can see that this driver doesn't care about damaging the vehicle and continuing on, because this vehicle's been in accidents before. We've seen him hit other things, possibly hit other vehicles. It's hard to tell because those things happen so fast. But as we go through these neighborhoods that are possibly a little bit narrow, you have to wonder if this suspect is going to hit anything or how this will end.
Right.
And we still don't know for sure if there is a fourth person in this vehicle. The windows are tinted, so it's tough to look in. And they've been up the whole time on the driver's side of the vehicle. The passenger side, they've been down. And it's very clear that there are at least 3 people. We don't know if that fourth person is there.
Yeah, we've only been able to confirm the 3 people in the vehicle. The LAPD units and the air unit have only been able to confirm 3 people as well, because, as you said, those windows are tinted. And that's something that LAPD, as we run through a stop sign there at 89th and Wadsworth, that's something that LAPD often has to deal with when pulling suspects over or performing traffic stops, is those tinted windows. Now we're making a right turn on Central again, so we're staying on these streets kind of between 85th and 95th, Central, Main, San Pedro, staying on all those general streets. This one looks a little bit of a wider street that this suspect can continue on, but it almost seems to me that this guy's maybe slowing down a little bit, and then just as I say that, he speeds up and continues westbound on Hooper, not really caring about where the lanes are, and a lot of traffic there waiting for the light, and this suspect makes a left turn there on 92nd with cross traffic coming. Just a very dangerous situation here in South LA. Yeah,
we've seen quite a few pedestrians and pretty close calls with pedestrians walking these streets, the residential streets, and that's when you really get nervous when you watch a pursuit like this.
And you wonder if the excitement is going to eventually wear off of these guys. It almost get that sense they're very excited at the beginning, and they seem to be kind of mellowing out a little bit. And now they got to think about how are they going to get out of this situation.
Yeah, exactly. And we understand that they are possibly armed, and this car is reportedly stolen, so they know they're in deep trouble.
Yeah, they do, and they are dealing with some traffic here as this white Jeep and some other vehicles, I'm not sure what they're waiting for, if it's a stoplight up ahead, and it looks like this suspect may have come to a stop here, possibly maybe deciding, it looks like that rear passenger may have saw us up here in the helicopter, so they know that they are still being pursued. There's no way in my mind that they don't know that, but they don't see the officers behind them. So now you have to wonder what's going through these suspects' mind as far as what you were saying, David, that you know, they're kind of getting past the initial excitement of this and are looking to kind of mellow out now and find a way out of this situation as we continue. Looks like northbound now. On Parmalee, approaching 96th Street. We're making a left turn westbound on 96th Street now, and we're just kind of staying in this same general area.
Certainly behaving like they're being pursued, so I think they know something's up and they need to get away, or at least try to.
Yeah, they are still in the mindset of getting away. They're not coming to a complete stop, and they're not giving up. We saw them stuck in that traffic earlier, and they just kind of waited it out, just kind of saw that the officers weren't immediately behind them. and waited for that traffic to move and carry on as we continue on Firth Boulevard, leaving 92nd Street, still at a high rate of speed, still driving dangerously around oncoming traffic and passing other vehicles as we make a right turn now, going, looks like southbound. We'll get that cross street for you shortly.
They've rolled all the windows up now, too.
Yeah, that's a good point. The windows there on the right side are all rolled up, so this might play into what we were thinking is happening here, where it's kind of a changing mindset as far as these pursuit suspects are concerned. They're getting past the kind of, giddiness of initially trying to get away. Now picking up speed here a little bit, using that center median, using that left turn lane. All of a sudden, we're at 60 miles an hour on surface streets, going around some of these other vehicles that are stuck in traffic. It looks like he might be stopped at that light there, not at the light, but in the intersection, continuing through in the center median.
Yeah, window roll down again in the back seat there.
Yep, the windows rolled down again. So it's just very peculiar, the behavior of these passengers and kind of what their purpose and point is here, what they're trying to prove. That's something we always ask, and what we always wonder in these pursuit situations is why do they do it? As we see a bicyclist in the middle of the roadway there, this looks like another road that's a little bit wider, that this suspect is kind of finding ways to move around a little less dangerously than earlier. But looks like Laurel Street 92nd now is where we're at. We're slowing down a little bit, possibly making a right turn, and no, not doing a right turn. Continuing through the intersection now, approaching on Alameda now, moving around some other traffic there. And at this point, it's just a joyride for these suspects, and they are going to drive until they can no longer, it seems like. So we're going to start listening to see what LAPD does as far as possibly trying to bring this thing to an end through other means, whether they actually try and re-engage the pursuit, or whether they completely back off and see if they can deal with these suspects later, which we have seen LAPD do. It's just a matter of time now to figure out how LAPD decides to handle this situation.
Do you see any LAPD vehicles, or they've completely pulled back?
We do have the air unit overhead, but I haven't seen any ground units in quite some time. There's the air unit there as it flies through the shot. I'm being told now that, excuse me, I'm being told now that no ground units. Oh, and there we go.
They're running.
There's 1 foot bail. There's 2. There's 3. There's the 3 suspects that we thought were in the vehicle, and 3 of them exit the vehicle. So as we were just saying, there were no ground units right behind this suspect, but we do know they're in the area. So we're going to wait and see how fast or how long it takes for those LAPD units on the ground to move in and at least locate these suspects and take them into custody. It looks like one of them's either holding his hoodie, possibly on the phone there. I'm not sure what. This one was the driver, we're being told. So we're going to stay with this driver and see where that driver ends up, because that's the one that LAPD is going to be most interested in, although more than likely they're going to take all 3 of these suspects into custody. We're near Willow Place and Long Beach Boulevard. We're seeing if these suspects pop out on the other side of this building. They're possibly in the alleyway, and the LAPD air unit is calling ground units on the ground to this scene to hopefully take these 3 suspects into custody after.
The chase ended less than an hour later when the 3 abandoned the Hyundai Elantra in the residential area of Santa Fe Avenue and Willow Place and fled on foot. Less than an hour into the chase, the suspects stopped in the Southgate neighborhood, jumped out of the vehicle, and ran.
Why aren't they stopping it? Stay on this car for a sec. This was the one that we saw leaving the apartment. So they took these 3 into custody. Or is it? Because they were coming this way, right? But were we on the other side? It sounds like it. They said 3 in custody. And there they are. Oh, there's like no delay on this. The factor of time on their side. The LAPD can wait here all day and all night. They have other units that will start to report in for work later in the day, and they can take over this scene and relieve officers that are already on this scene, and they can wait out these suspects if they have to. I'm on the simplex still. I think they're talking amongst themselves right now. Yeah, no, it's been great. Thank you. And you can see their LAPD officers have their weapons drawn on this apartment building there. That is where they believe that these couple of suspects have ran to after this wild pursuit. Let's take a look at some video here and see what this pursuit looked like earlier. We kind of stayed in the South LA area, didn't really go on freeways, but a lot of erratic driving, a lot of driving on the wrong way of the street, a lot of possibly sideswiping other vehicles. Looking at the live pictures now, LAPD does have Willow closed just to the north of Long Beach Boulevard. Now, they did take 3 additional suspects into custody. Unknown what their connection is to this entire scene, but they're going to talk to them and try and gather that information. A weapon was also discovered in the original pursuit suspect's vehicle.
Officers were not immediately in the area at the time, but arrived shortly after and began establishing a perimeter to begin the search. Within a half hour, police were able to locate the suspects at the scene and take them into custody.